Today we're making a vegetarian dish with pasta. It's going to be a spinach and ricotta cannelloni. What I am going to do at the same time though is do half of it with the cannelloni pasta and half of it without, so that those people who do choose to eat low carbohydrate diets can also enjoy this. It's a bit of a trial, so we'll see how it works, but I know for a fact it works really well with the cannelloni pasta tubes. So there's a couple of stages. We want a tomato sauce to go on top of this, and we need the spinach and ricotta filling to go inside the cannelloni tubes. So we'll get started first of all with the tomato sauce, which is going to be half an onion, a tin of tomatoes, 1 clove of garlic, and then some fresh sage mixed in at the end, but you could use dried herbs if you wanted to. So we shall just chop finely the garlic and the onion. We'll cook these in a little bit of oil. We'll let them sweat down until they've softened a little bit, and then we'll add the tomatoes. While the onions and garlic sweat down slightly, we're going to get on with the spinach and ricotta filling. You can use frozen spinach really easily, just defrost it and use it straight from there. But I've got a big bag of fresh spinach. This was about 250 grams worth of fresh spinach. And I'm literally just going to put it in the microwave. A lot of moisture comes out of spinach, so I just want it to wilt down. So that's going to go in there and just let it cook, and the moisture from that will sort of help it. And we'll just keep an eye on it there. What else we need to go inside this is another clove of garlic, some Parmesan cheese grated, the ricotta, which you could just buy a pot of, 250 grams, and some nutmeg, which we'll grate in at the end, along with some salt and pepper. Spinach has just been in for a minute, and that hasn't really had too much of an impact on it yet, but you can see the steam, and it has got a bit more moisture in it, so I'm going to go for another minute in there. Just do it slowly and gradually. While I chop the other clove of garlic finely. Okay, so another minute with the spinach. Let's have a little look at this. You can see how much that's wilted down. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. What we need to do is finely chop this spinach to combine it with the other ingredients. But before that, we'll just take a little look. Our onions have started to go soft, and so we're just going to add the tomatoes in there. A little bit of water just to not waste what's in the tin. And we just let that simmer while we continue with everything else. If you didn't have time, or you didn't want to make the tomato sauce from scratch yourself, you could just use a tub of passata, and that would be absolutely fine. This just gives it a little bit more flavour. So back to the spinach. It does have a lot of moisture in it, so I'm just going to absorb some of that into some kitchen paper. carefully because it's obviously quite hot now from being in the microwave. You can see how much moisture's come out of there. We don't want it to get too soggy in the mixture, so absorbing some of that's good. And you can see how much it's shrunk down in size as well. Okay. So this is just going to get chopped up finely. You could do this in a food processor if you wanted to. Just be careful because it is still quite warm. Probably a bigger knife would have been useful here. You can learn by my mistakes. There's a bit of stalk in there. Okay. When you've chopped up the spinach, that goes back into the bowl. I've got the clove of garlic there as well. And into this mixture we're going to put some of the ricotta cheese. So all of the ricotta cheese is going in, whole lump. And then we want to put in the cheese. So we're just going to grate the Parmesan. Parmesan's quite a strong tasting cheese, which makes it good. You don't need very much of it. We're using about 30 grams here. But if you don't have Parmesan, then you could use a different cheese by all means. I like recipes that you don't have to necessarily stick with to the letter. You can change them up a little bit to suit what you've got. Okay, so the rind of the Parmesan here that's left, we can actually keep that. It makes a really good addition to stews and casseroles. If you just pop it in, it adds a really good depth of flavour to those, so don't waste it. Cheese going in. I just need to grab my special grater. I say special, it's easier for the nutmeg. Trying not to take my daughter's leg off at the same time. And then a piece of nutmeg, you can buy it ready grated, but I've got fresh nutmeg, so I'm going to grate it in. It goes really delicious with spinach. So just a good grating of nutmeg. And season with some salt and pepper. In fact, I'm just going to use pepper because Parmesan cheese can add some saltiness already. And then finally, and I've left this till last because the spinach is still quite warm, is 1 egg. And then we just mix all of this together. Okay, there we have our filling. Cheese and ricotta and spinach. And what we now have to do is get this mixture into our cannelloni tubes. Our tomato sauce is still cooking here, so that can just stay while we do this job. The easiest way to do this is with a piping bag, which I do have. You could use a sandwich bag and just cut the corners off, but they sometimes have kind of little folds in the bottom of them, so they're not quite as easy to use. Or if you don't have any, you could just use a little bit of patience and some a spoon. Sorry. So the easiest way to use this piping bag is to fold over the edges and then just spoon the mixture in. You can buy these very cheap in Home Bargains actually, just disposable piping bags. Okay, I'll add to this in a second. And once it's in, I would suggest that you snip the end off once you've got your filling in as much as you can, otherwise as you start to fill it, it's going to be coming out the bottom. So actually let's go for it as much as we can in here now. Yeah, we've got it. Okay. So that's our filling nicely in. Just seal the top and kind of squeeze down and then just snip the end off. Okay. And then what we want to do is fill these cannelloni tubes with them. I'm going to lay them out on this chopping board once they've been done because I want to put some sauce in the bottom of the baking tin. So I'm not quite ready for that. So just take it and squeeze from the top end. A little bit of judgment here. I've not made the hole at the bottom quite big enough for the spinach to come through, so just make that a little bit bigger. And there you can see it's coming in. And then a bit from the other side. And there we have a filled cannelloni tube. This should fill about 10. But just keep going until you've used it all up, obviously. Whoa, just have to obviously be careful. It's not always the neatest thing in the world. Okay, so I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 done there. What I'm going to do now is just have this little experiment in front of the camera, which is a bit risky, of using leek as an alternative. So I've taken the leek, I've cut it into 2 big pieces, and then I've just carefully peeled off the layers, and then I'm going to use these instead of the cannelloni. And the final thing that I just thought of, so I'll just use this last little bit, instead of leek, I'm not sure how this will work so we'll try it, was to use an apple corer on a courgette and just take the middle out and then stuff the courgette. So I'm going to just do 1 piece of courgette. I'm going to actually stand that up in the dish rather than lay it down, I think. Oh no, let's fill it up. There we go. It. Okay. So at this point now we are ready to assemble. Our tomato sauce has been bubbling away. Now if you don't like it chunky, you can blend it now in a food processor or with your hand blender. I don't mind it chunky at all. So I'm going to go with it as it is, but what I am going to do is just season it. So this is the basil leaves that I've chopped finely, and I will go with some salt and pepper this time. Okay, so we need a little layer of this on the bottom, and then we'll nestle the cannelloni tubes on top of it, and then another layer over the top. And the moisture from this tomato sauce will help the cannelloni to soften and cook while it's in the oven. It'll also stop them from sticking to the bottom of the dish. Okay. So then we're just going to lay them in carefully. And my leek, which doesn't quite fit, so we'll turn them around the other way, no problems at all. Final cannelloni tube. Okay, so normally they'd lie in nice and neatly side by side, but obviously I'm experimenting with different things in this one. You probably won't be. So once they're all laid in nice and neatly, we just cover the rest of the tomato sauce over the top. And then I'm going to cover this in foil to help to keep the moisture in so that the pasta doesn't dry out completely, and put it in the oven for about 25 minutes, and then I'll take it back out of the oven and put some cheese on. Okay, nice and snug, wrapped in foil. Into the preheated oven, 180, as most things are. Excellent, we'll just top that up with some cheese later when it's nearly ready. Okay, hopefully the cannelloni tubes are nice and soft and my leek wasn't a disaster. Let's have a look. Oh, ta-da! So, yep, the cannelloni tubes are nice and soft. Courgette's soft, my leek's in here and it hasn't made a mess everywhere, so fingers crossed that's all going to be fantastic, and all we need to do now is dot some mozzarella on the top. I'm using that because that's what I've got, but you could use grated cheese, any kind of cheese, or a mixture of both if you're a particular cheese lover. And then this just goes back in the oven just for this cheese to melt and finish it off. Lovely. And back in we go. Here we have it. One spinach and ricotta cannelloni with adaptations inside as well. That'll go lovely with a nice crisp green salad. Thank you ever so much. I hope you enjoy it.